Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things Bible. I am your host, Michele Waymeyer, and this is my brother, Mitchell Highcamp.
Hi, how are you?
We ask that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are released. We both have blue on tonight.
We do. I didn't even notice. I guess it's true.
Yeah, we both have blue on. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a formal complaint.
Oh. All right, let's hear it.
So I had to work a little bit late tonight.
You did. I was here before you.
And I only had like 10 minutes to get down here.
Yeah.
And I went to go to Alice's to get my ice cream. And there was like 15 people standing there in line getting ice cream.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 cars in the drive-through.
Okay.
So I had to do a drive-by, and not like a bad drive-by. I just drove by Alice's, and I was like, I don't have time for this. And so I couldn't get any ice cream.
So I went to Alice's today.
And you didn't get me anything?
Okay, so football camp has begun, not practice, camps. And we had received a message this afternoon that they weren't going to even, they had a Monday through Thursday this week and they have weights on Friday. And the coach sent a message and said, guys had a great week, no weights tomorrow morning, they have the day off. I said, Dan, you want ice cream? And he's like, what? Well, you want some ice cream? The thing is, he needs to put calories in his body. He's burning so many calories, but he hates all that sugar. And I'm just like, I'll buy you ice cream. So I went to Alice's. And when I was at Alice's, she's like, so your brother was in here yesterday. I'm like, yeah. I said, I saw him go by. I figured he was going there. Matt went by on his truck yesterday afternoon. I figured he was going to Alice's. She's like, and I saw your nephew. He comes in and gets a cyclone with double M&Ms. I'm like, yeah, that's probably Caleb. I said, you're probably not here on Thursdays when my other brother comes through to get his milkshake. Are you? She's like, nope, can't say that I am.
No, she's typically not there. I think it's some high school girls there.
Yeah, I think they come in about 2:30 or so. I think that's after the lunch rush, I think, is when those girls come in and she leaves.
There was definitely a rush this evening. Late afternoon.
I am so sorry you didn't get your ice cream. Mind you, I didn't get any ice cream because I don't eat ice cream, but I did get Daniel a milkshake. Well, believe me, I wanted ice cream really bad, but didn't I get it? So
I get ice cream at home. I'll just go home and eat ice cream.
Well, I think Daniel thought I was gonna make a homemade milkshake, and I'm like, I don't keep ice cream in the house. I'm like,
we do.
No? Do you?
Well, not all the time, but.
So I woke up this morning in a very pleasant mood.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. It's not every morning that happens. Actually, it's not hardly any morning that happens. Yeah, so last night was the first night in, I guess, 4 years I've had a dream, and Missy has appeared in it.
Nice.
Not only did she appear in this, the hug that she gave me felt so real.
Good.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And actually, I woke up before my alarm. I woke up at 5 and I'm like, oh my gosh, that felt so real. And of course I couldn't go back to sleep, but what a great morning. It just put me in a fantastic mood all day today because that never happens. It never happens to me. Like I rarely have dreams that I can remember, let alone have Missy in it or Dad or anybody. So
I had dreams about Uncle Ralph not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah, he's telling me about this flooring that he really likes. I'm like, okay. I woke up to a page like, hey, Uncle Ralph in my dream really liked this certain type of flooring. But it was weird because Dad wasn't in that. I'm like, why was Dad not
Why would Ralph be telling you that, not Dad?
Well, Ralph's done construction.
I know. But yeah, I just, and people talk about, like, Don dreams a lot. He's always telling me about his dreams. But I don't dream a lot. I mean, I don't remember my dreams, I should say. So
I'll tell you about my dream last night. I told Paige about it this morning.
I bet she loves waking up to hear about your dreams.
I only told her one part of it. I didn't tell her all of it.
Oh.
But the part that was funny was, so we were on our way to vacation, and we stopped somewhere on the way because they had this boat tour out to something that we wanted to go see. I
Okay.
don't even know where we were going,
Okay.
but for some reason, I was the onboard entertainment. So I had a guitar. I was playing guitar. I was singing. I don't know why. I don't know how to play guitar.
And you don't sing real
I'm not a good singer, but I was the
well.
onboard entertainment for this boat tour.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Paige may not have found it as comical as what maybe I
Well,
did.
Paige, Paige is Paige.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I know how much you love her. She definitely is Paige. Don told me about his dream, but I will not repeat it. I was like, what goes on in your head? Like, what are you doing?
A lot of my dreams lately have been a lot of work related stuff because that's what
Well,
I've
because that's in
been.
your head,
Yeah.
because you changed jobs, so you've got a lot of new information in your head probably.
Yeah. So
So
I've been doing a lot of studying and learning there, and it, and almost all my dreams, there's some at some point some level of machining going on. So
oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, but that was my dream, and I was very, very happy. I mean, it was the short hair, it was the smile. I mean, and she had. Are you yawning while I'm
uh-huh.
telling you this?
Yeah,
I know
you're
we're talking
boring.
about talking about sleep, but she had, like I said, and she had. I mean, it was before she got sick. I mean, she just looked. I mean, I always vividly remember a time we were at mom and dad's house, and this is when they were still on Versailles Yorkshire Road. And she came in one day, and I don't know why this day in particular is always a good memory of mine, but she came in that day, and I know her and Chip were going golfing. She had on like a Nike hat, and or no, I'm sorry, she had like a Nike tank, and she had like a little golf skirt on, and she had her short hair. And I mean, that day just I always remember her coming in that day, and I don't know why. And it's kind of like that's how she was in my dream, and I was so excited to see her. So yeah,
Good.
yeah, I guess I needed a hug.
I guess.
Yeah, I know, right?
I haven't dreamed about Missy in a while.
You haven't?
No.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was good. Like I said, Dad's not popped up yet, but I Dad's with me every day of the week as we're watching the Reds, either cursing them or cheering them on. So that's what I say. Oh, actually, I saw that I went to order a shirt because we're going to go to a Reds game, and I went to order a shirt for Don, and I said, "Look at this! Like on the website, they had like really nice cut off Cincinnati Red shirts. Instead of him cutting the arms off all of his shirts, we actually could have gotten him a cut off shirt that was
Well,
made."
maybe he's the one that made them stylish.
Maybe he is. They were really neat too. I said, Don, look, I said, Dad would look really good in this shirt. And he's like, no, it's black. He always had gray on. He always
It
had a
always was
gray
gray.
shirt on. He's like, no, it's black. He wouldn't have liked that. So, but
You would have worked for special
oh,
occasions.
I'm sure he would have. So, but
I've
yeah.
been a dressier cutoff.
Oh, it would have been, yeah, he would have worn it to church. With his plaid shorts and his sandals.
Probably.
And all of us would be like, Dad, would you please cover your toes? He had some nasty looking feet, let me tell you. But he worked hard all of his life, right? That's how we're gonna say
I'm not gonna make fun of his feet.
it. Yours are pretty nasty too. Thanks for covering yours.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So sorry. I thought it was fun to mention that. I also was gonna mention that you must be really busy. I noticed that when's really getting your beard's getting really bushy. Like,
It
so
is.
when's so gross. When is drill again? When is this getting shaped off?
Well, that actually brings up a point that we should talk about. So
Please stop doing
next week, uh, you're going to we're not going to be recording next week.
Okay.
And we'll be on vacation.
Yay!
So next week you guys will be seeing my. So long story short, we talked about how I've had to do. I was in charge of Sunday services for for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be seeing that first week next week, and then we'll be back here. We'll have another Bible study following week,
Oh, and then like the week of Olivia's
and then the
party,
week
you go
after
to
that, I'll
your.
be
Okay, so you'll be
clean
playing the sec.
shaven
Oh,
after that.
it's not until then.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So
Anyhow, so you're gonna play that first one, and then we'll come back for
for
another
Bible
episode for
study.
Bible, and then we'll do another your second sermon that you or message or I don't know what you call
Unless
it.
you want to do the 2 sermons back to back, and then I can hold that first Bible study the week after. So then it's
I think you
2
probably should do
sermons.
that. Like we'll still
Okay.
record it,
Yeah.
but I always say do your 2 back to back, and then that week that we know we're not going to be here, then you can play the recording of our Bible study, and then we can just pick up from there. I think it'd be better because
Okay. It'll
I've
flow
heard the
better.
first one, and I know you're giving the other one here in a couple of days, so I'll hear the
Yeah.
second one. So I really think you should probably do those back to back. So we'll
Okay.
just do it that way. But we'll
Sounds
still
good.
come in here and do our recording, then
Okay.
release that the next week. So when we actually aren't going to be around. Okay.
So now you know what we're doing.
Yeah. We figured it all out.
So I was just thinking if it was going to be weird if I'm going to not have a beard and then have a beard, but no, it should all be.
I mean, you
Beard.
could just shave tomorrow and then you
Whoa!
wouldn't have to worry about
Whoa!
it. Just saying.
I like to pet it.
Oh my goodness. Noah told me he does miss his beard. It's just way too hot. I said, well, your mustache looks terrible, but he did send me a picture of a year ago when he had his nice full blonde, red colored beard. Which reminds me too, like, so Zeke's eyelashes are like pure white, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
noticed that
natural.
the other day. Like Noah's have always been white, like yours.
Yeah.
But it's just like you 3 have like you would think you have like no eyelashes because they're so blonde.
Yeah. During the summer, yeah,
But
they
Zeke's
really bleach out.
really bleached out. I mean, he
Yeah.
came over a couple weeks ago and I'm like, good golly, your eyelashes. They're so long, but they're just white. So that's how Noah's always were too. They're both fair skinned, blonde hair. He'll always be blonde, Zeke will,
Yeah.
probably. Kind of like you when you had hair.
When I had hair.
Yeah.
It would really bleach out during the summertime too.
Megan makes me look blonde.
Well, I think the way you act makes everybody believe you.
That's why I gotta keep coloring it. Because what if I didn't do it? Then people are like, oh, why she act like a blonde for?
Are you naturally blonde?
I'm a dirty blonde. Yeah. That's what I like to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say.
That's what I'm rolling with.
Your story. You stick to it.
That's right. Can you tell that we have nobody here? Like we're really
Yeah, everybody's on vacation.
everybody's on vacation, so it's just me and you here tonight. So I'm totally off topic.
Yeah. I
Right.
don't have a whole lot of notes for verse 6, so
Well, that's good because I really would hate to fall asleep during this one because there's nobody here to entertain me.
hello.
Hello, McFly.
Didn't I not tell you about my dream? I am the entertainment.
And you yawned during my story.
That's because you're not the entertainment. I'm the entertainment.
Oh shoot. All right. Let's do this.
Okay.
I set my timer. You only got 18 minutes left.
That's fine.
Good.
We might even end early.
That's good because I got dinner to eat.
I got Alice's to get.
Oh yeah, you got to be there before they close.
No, I actually do home and eat ice cream, but
I'm
it's a good
you
thought.
chicken and noodles.
I know. I'm gonna go home and eat that. Probably all of it.
Are you? That's a lot of chicken and
That's
noodles.
fine.
Okay, well, good.
That guy's got to eat.
Especially carbs.
The best. Carbs and sugar.
Carbs and sugar.
Great diet.
Oh shoot! All
I
right,
call it the roly-poly diet.
you do.
Yeah, that's gonna make me roly-poly. I just made it up.
You make up a lot of stuff.
I do. That part is I make up stuff and then
You think it's a good idea.
well, like I'll think of something that's funny and then
Nobody else.
I completely forget it. Like
Oh.
that's like a one-time thing.
Hmm.
Like I'll never tell that joke ever again because I'll forget it.
I don't remember it. That's a sign of old age.
No, that's a sign I have a lot of jokes.
Oh.
Remember, entertainment.
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 Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied.
Are you telling me to quit rambling and get to it?
I want to go home.
Okay. So,
And
obviously,
if it starts raining, you're gonna have to drive me home. It's supposed to storm
we need to hurry up.
tonight.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
So again, blessed are Macarios, the link right there.
Oh,
Go look that up again.
okay. We got another link.
In case you didn't look it up last week and you're still confused.
And you haven't listened or watched our last, I don't know, 10 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. So hunger and thirst. So
Hunger and thirst for righteousness.
I should say I haven't actually gone through my notes
This
for
doesn't
this like I
surprise me.
normally do.
This does not surprise me.
So I got busy.
I know you got busy today. You told me.
So whenever we see hunger and thirst,
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts are what everybody thinks. You know, you think of being hungry and thirsty. You think of food. You think of water or something to drink,
Mm-hmm.
something to
Replenish.
or to satisfy that
Mm-hmm.
hunger.
Yep.
Or whatever that feeling you have in your stomach. And a lot of the time it's mental. So that's what we think about. But as we have seen going through these beatitudes, as we have seen going through pretty much all of our Bible studying that we do, that
Everything I think.
is that storm?
I think it's thundering and lightning.
It almost sounds like hail.
It's supposed to hail.
Oh, hopefully I get dents in my car.
Don't say that.
I need a new car. Anyways.
Okay, but listen, I'm right with you here. So everything that we have gone through, what I think, because when I read it and I think and I'm like, the hunger and thirst for righteousness, and you're always like, you always tell me what it truly means, and I'm always dumbfounded by it. Like, oh my gosh, never have I thought of it that way.
Because
So
this isn't talking about the feeling of hunger or the feeling or desire for thirst.
let me fall off my chair. I had no idea.
Hold on, let me get my phone. I'm gonna record it.
We're recording it. Why would you get your
Yeah, but if you fall down, you're not going to be on camera anymore. I need a whole thing.
Record this. Hello. We're recording.
Point of view for Facebook. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
What are you doing?
I'm sitting
with my chair.
Sitting on my wallet with my phone, and it's bothering me. Now that I talked about it. Anyways.
Oh. Hunger and thirst.
Yes,
hunger and thirst.
This isn't the hunger and thirst. This is the feeling of hunger and thirst that Jesus is talking about. This idea of hunger and thirst, like I was saying, in most of what we studied, almost everything that we see, it has a deeper meaning than that surface idea of that feeling of hunger and thirst, which I am feeling right now.
I know.
I'm hungry.
You hear that?
Yeah, I do. It's storming pretty good. We might lose electric during this. If things just go black,
we're okay.
It's okay.
We're in church.
This is still going to keep recording because it's not plugged into anything. Everything's running off the computer.
Oh yeah, that is right. So we keep talking.
We'll keep talking in the dark.
And you'll have that.
Yeah. So light up my face like this.
Your beard.
I kind of hope we lose electric now. I think it'll be funny. Anyways, this one is off the rails. Whatever. I'm not even through number one yet.
13 minutes. Right up.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, this isn't the feeling of hunger and thirst. I think I've said that 4 times.
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. So if you go back, and I'll put a link to this too, whenever we covered Matthew 4:4, where Jesus said that man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Now, if you go to that link, if you go back and rewatch that video that we did on that particular verse, there we go a lot deeper because then we go back to the Old Testament and tie that back to Matthew 4 and everything that where I'm not doing that here, but hopefully you guys heard that. That was like some good thunder going
That
on there.
is good thunder.
But for what we're talking about now with Matthew 4:4, just a brief overview of what that means is this wasn't about that feeling of hunger and thirst. Because remember, in Matthew 4:4, that's when Jesus was out in the wilderness being
Okay.
tempted by
Yep.
the devil
Yep.
for, Jesus was out there 40 days,
Mm-hmm.
40 nights. He was hungry. He was in that full, um, in the full throes of fasting for no food.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the devil was tempting him. And this was the temptation where the devil was trying to get Jesus to change the stone into bread
Mm-hmm.
in order to eat.
To eat. Yes.
And Jesus is like, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever I tied that back to the Old Testament, we seen that what Jesus was really saying, that it was about priorities. It wasn't about the food. The number one priority in your life should not be to satisfy that feeling of hunger or that feeling of thirst.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we need to eat to survive. We need to
Mm-hmm.
drink to survive. But that shouldn't be where our priorities lie. That's
Right.
not where our main focus should be. Our main focus needs to be on God.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of discussed this whenever we were looking at the poor in spirit, about living your life in a way that is focused on God, but
Mm-hmm.
you're where everything you do is centered on God. And with all the beatitudes, we've looked into this. Whenever for mourning, you mourn for a deeper relationship with the Lord. With meekness, it's about showing others that love that
Mm-hmm.
God has shown us. So we've seen this in all of the beatitudes so far, and that's what this is about. This is
Right.
about having that deeper relationship, putting God first in your relationships. That's, well, God first in everything, no matter what
Right.
it is.
Right. Right.
And in this case, hunger and thirst. So that's what they're pointing at. So it's about, again, the priorities. It's about having that craving for righteousness and that spiritual blessing. So I'm ready for the roof of this place just
I
to go.
know. Oh my gosh, it's so scary
Anyways,
in here right now.
it's not scary.
Scary.
Um, So, what is righteousness?
What is
What
righteousness?
is this righteousness that I'm talking about? Because we are for this, it's blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Well, like a lot of words that I've done this quite a few times. There are multiple meanings or
Mm-hmm.
multiple different definitions or different ways of looking at a particular word, and this idea of righteousness is no different. So some of the other possible translations or different meanings that go along with righteousness or could be substituted for righteousness is deliverance,
Mm-hmm.
salvation, or justification. Now I say that just so I can say that I don't think any of those fit
Yeah.
because they actually fit with verse first we're on 4? No, 6.
We're on six.
They actually do fit in with verse 6 because you can hunger and thirst for deliverance.
Mm-hmm.
Deliverance from those who are persecuting you, deliverance
Okay. Yep.
from whatever. You could hunger and thirst for salvation. You could hunger and thirst for justification.
Mm-hmm.
And by justification, it would be more like justice.
Okay.
And honestly, this is the most common translation or definition or substitution whenever it comes to righteousness. Because biblically speaking, most of the times whenever they are talking about righteousness, it's God's righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they are talking about God's righteousness, they are referring to basically God's justification or justice from the Lord or divine justice.
Mm.
So that is kind of what they're pointing to. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you do see righteousness, most of the time in the Bible, it is referring to this divine justice.
Okay.
But what is this divine justice? What is this God's righteousness? And like I said, what I just explained is typically the way you will hear God's righteousness defined as. It's, and we even kind of seen this last week whenever we were talking about, was it Psalm 37, if I remember correctly?
Maybe.
I can go back and
Oh,
look
I was
real
gonna say I
quick.
have my paper too.
Yes, Psalm 37.
Yep,
Um,
37, 7 through 9.
so whenever we were talking about that, that was about, well, mainly being patient in the Lord, but because those that you may see being prosperous, even though they are evil or wicked, or they're rich in spirit, or they're not walking with the Lord the way that most Christians typically should be walking with the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they're prospering, they are being
Yes.
successful,
Yes.
they are
Yes.
whatever. Well, in that psalm was talking about how basically when the day of the Lord comes, those people are going to be wiped away, and those that are meek, those that are walking with the Lord, will inherit the land.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is divine justice.
Mm.
But my argument is, or this is a revelation that the Lord gave to me last night, was, and I haven't had time to dive deep into this yet, so this is just food for thought and something that I encourage you to look deeper into. But what is divine justice? Isn't it, again, another way of saying it is God's righteousness, but isn't it just God basically fulfilling the promises that he gave to, I would say, our ancestors, or
Mm-hmm.
those main biblical characters from the Old Testament? Because if you look at every big characters, the main characters, God gave promises to Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
God gave promises to Noah and his family. God gave promises to Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
God gave promises to Moses. God
Mm-hmm.
gave promises to David. So all through the Old Testament, God's giving promises. So, like we're just talking about Psalm 37, when those evil and wicked people were wiped away, it's not just God fulfilling a promise. He's just getting
Yeah.
rid of that evil, that wickedness,
Mm-hmm.
so the good can prosper.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you go back in some of the big events where the Lord is destroying, I guess. But if you look at the flood, again going back to Noah,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the flood, where pretty much the only people that survived are Noah's family and two of each kind of animal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything else is wiped
Wiped
away.
away.
Well, that was, which this is where I haven't done a whole lot of research, but I would venture to guess that that was a fulfillment of a promise
Mm-hmm.
of some sort to Adam and Eve, or to Noah, or to somebody, because at that time the world was full of unrighteous people.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they were not walking with the Lord, and
Right.
so is the Lord kind of cleansing the land. And then, like Sodom and Gomorrah, again, a lot of evil and wicked stuff going on. And so that's why it's often defined as divine justice, because there is judgment going on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I need to do more research, and I encourage you to do the research, or leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this whole concept. But that could also be considered a fulfillment of a promise,
Mm-hmm.
or at least he was clearing the way in order to fulfill a promise for somebody else. But that is typically the main view of justice, or of righteousness
Righteousness.
in the Bible. But in that whole concept of righteousness does work with what we're talking about here. Somebody can hunger and thirst for that type of divine justice,
Mm-hmm.
for God to come and wipe out the unjust people, the evil, the wicked, and all that other stuff. But there's an issue with that. I mean, though it works here, righteousness is actually mentioned somewhere else in the Beatitudes. And that's actually down at verse 10. And somewhere in my notes I have that. But as you may have been noticing, I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah, no, you have it
I'm
right
actually
here.
at right here. B
But no, you've
to
already gone through some of this other stuff already. But
yeah,
yeah,
probably.
you
I was
are.
going rogue.
That's where.
So in verse 10, it says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake."
Mm-hmm.
So that means if you pair that with verse 6, those that hunger and thirst for righteousness. So you'd be saying you'd hunger and thirst. You have that desire for divine justice. But then if you go down to verse 10, it says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake." So for the sake of divine justice. So they contradict each other.
Yeah.
So in verse 6, you're being blessed for desiring the divine justice, but in verse 10, you're basically being persecuted
Yeah.
for desiring that divine justice.
Mm.
So it doesn't work. But like I also just commented or made this big thing about
Mm-hmm.
was the fact that God's righteousness was him doing what was right in order to fill the promises
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
those that he made to those characters of the Old Testament. Well, this isn't talking about God's righteousness. This is talking about, well, just righteousness.
Right. Right.
It says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." It doesn't say it's for God's righteousness. So, what is our righteousness? I mean, everything that I was talking about before is God's righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we could flip this and look at it from, let me go, we're out of time. All right. Sorry, I'm keep going.
Yeah.
Um, so now if we flip this and look at it from our perspective, what is our righteousness? And so looking at it from that point of view, righteousness has two different meanings almost. Because like we were just talking about
Mm-hmm.
God's righteousness, all that other stuff. Well, our righteousness is to do what is right in the eyes of the
In the
Lord.
eyes of the Lord. Mm-hmm.
Where God's righteousness was doing what was right in order to fill the promises
Promises.
he made to us
Mm-hmm.
humans.
Mm-hmm.
So now our righteousness is doing what is right in order, well, in the eyes of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same righteousness, it's just roles are flipped. So now this, I think, is looking at it from our righteousness.
Right. So the persecuted
Yes.
is on us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So looking at it from that point of view, we hunger and thirst to live rightly
Mm-hmm.
or live in a way that is right or correct
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the eyes of the Lord. And that also pairs good with verse 10, because then verse 10 is talking about blessed are those who are persecuted for having that desire to live a way that is right in the eyes of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense in both spots there. So
Okay.
that's why I think this righteousness in both spots is talking about our personal righteousness. Um, so living rightly in the eyes of the Lord. So that is basically what
We have.
we have. Um, so there is something else. Um, so as I was doing through a lot of those, um, so be poor in spirit was the what was it? The mental or intellectual aspect of faith. To be or to mourn was the emotional aspect
Mm-hmm.
of faith.
Mm-hmm.
To be meek was the relationship aspect of
Mm-hmm.
faith. Well, it took me a little bit to figure out what I could coin this one, but I ended up falling on the surrendering aspect of faith.
Okay.
Because at this point is when we do need to surrender, when we hunger and thirst for living a way that is right in the eyes of the Lord, it requires us to surrender everything and giving it to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and then that ends up bringing you back full circle to being poor in spirit and living a life that is focused on the
Mm-hmm.
Lord. So all of these do work together.
Yeah, they do.
That is why they are all the core Christian values, and they all work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, you probably can't have one without the other, but typically, if you are really living a Christian life, then you will be living all of these values.
Hmm.
So that is why they are a guideline for the way we live our lives. So just to finish this up, for they shall be satisfied. So again, this is similar to the previous promises. It's future tense, so it's talking about a future fulfillment. But again, tomorrow is the future, so there
Right.
could be a partial fulfillment even while we are here on this
Mm-hmm.
earth. But it will be fully fulfilled whenever we go to heaven. And then last thing, this idea of being satisfied.
Yeah.
We're talking about those who hunger and
Mm-hmm.
thirst for righteousness. Well, whenever your hunger and thirst is satisfied,
Mm-hmm.
is when it goes away. So it pairs well with the idea of hunger and thirst.
Yeah, it does.
So, okay. We rambled a lot.
We did.
It sounds like the storm's gone, so you can walk home.
Oh, yes. So we thank you for joining us. Please leave a message or a comment on the video, or go to the contact page on purefaithliving.com to send us a message. And as always, if you like what you hear, then we ask that you share the show with others so we can all work together in spreading the joy and the good news of Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you again next time.
Have a blessed day, everybody.